Hi everybody, Tex-Mex here. Thanks for joining me for another video. Today I'm going to do a test between 25 auto and 22 long rifle. When I bought this 21A or Beretta Model 21A years ago, I didn't know as much about ballistics, and I was going to get the 25 auto version, and the gun store counter individual that was very helpful basically told me that I was going to be better off with 22 long rifle because it was more powerful than the 25 auto. Not knowing any better, I went ahead and followed his lead, and I think in certain respects he's most likely right, considering that the average speed, I think, for 25 auto is typically rated about 800 feet per second, where for 22 long rifle, the slower ones are around 1,000 feet per second, and as you start getting into hyper velocities, you're at like 1,200 and plus. However, an issue with that is that I would assume that most of the manufacturers, when they're posting these velocities, are shooting 22 long rifle out of a rifle, you know, somewhere maybe 16 inches or above, and 25 auto out of a small little pistol like this, considering most 25 autos are small little pistols like this. So what we're going to do today is I've got my chronograph set up down here. I put it about 10 yards away, 25 auto versus 22 long rifle, and see what the differences are out of a small pistol, because here I have the Jetfire and the Bobcat, and really barrel length I think are probably almost identical. If there is any difference, it's minuscule. So we'll be able to see what the velocities are compared to each other in very similar firearms. And also that's taken into consideration that as far as the 25 ACP, these are 50 grain bullets, and on the 22 I'm shooting 40 grain Norma USA, because I wanted to have a 40 grain in there, and then the Stinger 32 grains that are supposed to be rated at 1,640 feet per second. And I wanted to do that because I think typically a lot of people use Stingers or a hyper velocity 22 long rifle when they're using it for self-defense. So I thought it'd be a fair test to try a hyper velocity, a regular velocity in 40 grain versus your typical 50 grain 25 ACP. So let me go ahead and get the chronograph set up and let's get shooting. Well, we're going to start with a Jetfire. I've got some Federal loaded in there and got the chronograph ready to go. 760 feet per second. 761. 744. 752. Yeah, 774. And actually my phone's telling me. I didn't realize I had a voice, or should I say a little computer voice to tell me the speeds as I shoot them. So I think I got one more in here. 756. Well, maybe another. 788. 756. That's it. We're empty. Okay. Really consistent with the 25 auto. I'll give it that. We never got quite to 800 feet per second. It was about 750. So very much, I guess, shooting as advertised. So that worked pretty well. Let me set up the 22 now. And we're going to start with the TAC-22 first. So now we're going to do the Beretta Bobcat. You can only put 7 rounds in the 22 long rifle magazine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load one directly into the barrel. That way we can compare 8 shots to 8 shots. Pretty sure it was 8 shots with the Jetfire. Maybe I should have been paying attention. So here we go.
784. 793. 759. 767. 763. 768. 722. 782.
Okay, I don't know if you could hear that little robot voice, but we were getting not as consistent as the 25 auto, but we were getting speeds as high as 780s and as low as 730s. So really pretty comparable to the 25 ACP, especially considering the 25 is 10 grains heavier. And now we're going to try the 25 ACP again. This time it's going to be the Remington UMC 50 grain. Let's see here. I'm able to load 8 into this magazine. I'd forgotten about that. So got 8 loaded up. Let's see how they do. 747. Well, since I have my phone dictating them, I'll put my phone next to the camera. That way you can just hear the pretty little computer voice call out the speeds.
754. 751. 721. 785. 730. 745. 755.
Okay, that must be 8. So, wow, the Remington UMC, it's a brand new box versus this old box of Federal that I was shooting. Strangely enough, the old box of Federal seemed to be more consistent than the Remington UMC. So take that for whatever it's worth. Speed's about the same, just not quite as consistent. What I'm going to do is at the end of the video, I will put up all the information, all the data showing the 22 versus the 25. And but it seems once again that with 50 grains, we're getting around 750 to 760 feet per second. But that being said, let's go ahead and load up the Stinger and we'll see how that does. And now the Stinger, 7 rounds in the magazine. We'll put one directly into the barrel and let's see how well it does.
$994.
Woo, lot faster. However, it looks like I got myself a little bit of a failure to feed here. Yeah, seems like the round decided to nosedive. So let me go ahead and fix that. Okay, now it's working fine.
$996.
I put the volume up so you can hear the sultry voice of my AI on the phone.
1017. 994. 990. 980. 997. 1020.
And that must be 8. There we go. So definitely a lot hotter, but once again, you got a much lighter round. Now you have a 32 grain, but we were pushing 1,000 plus on many of those shots. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was a fun little test. So here are the results. I'm going to be putting them up on the screen. This is going to be the 25 auto versus 22 long rifle. I'll put up the standard velocities from the TAC and then the velocities from the Stinger. Now, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I will assume, based on just what I saw, that the standard deviation is going to be higher on the 22 long rifle. It did seem that as far as the standard velocity 22, which was the TAC, the Norma USA Tac-22, the speeds were very similar to the 25 auto. And then when you got to the Stinger, yeah, the Stinger was a couple of hundred feet per second faster. However, during the shooting, I'm sure you noticed, I did have one failure to feed with the 22 long rifle. And the reason I point that out is just mainly because, look, 25 auto is always going to be a little more reliable in the sense that it's a center fire cartridge versus a rim fire. Have 22 long rifles gotten better and more reliable over the years? Yeah, I think they have. But all things being equal, will the 25 auto be a little more reliable? In my opinion, yes. You have a full metal cartridge instead of a most likely copper washed or just straight up lead round, although the Stingers do have a copper plated round. I just think shot by shot, consistency and reliability, you're going to be better off with the 25 auto. That being said, it does seem like you're getting a little more velocity out of the 22 long rifle. However, since it's a lighter round, as far as energy goes, I'll have to figure that out. And hopefully once I'm home, I've done some math. And let's say here is the energy of the 22 long rifles, the standard velocity and the hyper velocity. And here are the energy levels of the Federal and Remington 25 auto rounds. So I'm assuming they're going to be relatively similar. So if they're relatively similar, then it really, at the end of the day, you're not going to get much difference between 22 and 25 out of a short-barreled little pistol if that's what you're comparing like we're doing here. And like I said, with 25 auto, there may be a few larger pistols out there that shoot 25 auto, but most people that are going to be carrying that round or that caliber are going to be using a small little pocket pistol like the Jetfire. So reliability, I'll give the edge to the 25 auto. Speed, certainly give the edge to the 22 long rifle. Energy, I'm not sure. I'll put it up here on the screen who I think wins. And I guess something that has to be said as well is availability of ammunition. A 22 long rifle wins by a long shot. I lament the fact that 25 auto isn't more popular. Ammunition is harder to find, and it is certainly more expensive than 22 long rifle. But that being said, just to discount 25 auto saying, well, 22 long rifle's better, I disagree. And although years ago when the individual in the gun store sold me the 21A, although he was being relatively correct that you're getting more velocity and potentially a little more energy out of the 22 long rifle, I think the 25 would have been fine. Although that being said, I don't think I would have fired my Bobcat as much if it wasn't 25, just because it would be harder to get ammo and certainly more expensive. So anyway, it was an interesting video. I learned a little bit. I hope you did too. Once again, I hope you all are having fun, staying safe, staying cool in this miserable, miserable summer. And I will see you in the next video.